From the outside, your life looks fine, but inside, something feels missing. What if that emptiness isn't a problem, but a signal? From the outside, your life might look completely normal. You're functioning, you're moving forward, you're doing what you're supposed to do. But inside, something feels off. You ever feel that way? It's a subtle but a persistent feeling. A quiet emptiness that shows up in moments you can't explain. You wake up through your routine. You check off responsibilities. And yet there's this lingering question beneath it all. Why does this feel so empty? Maybe you've tried to improve it. Maybe you've been told yourself, that you should be grateful. After all, things aren't falling apart. Life isn't chaotic. But that almost makes it more confusing. Because if everything is true or fine, why doesn't it feel that way? And here's the unsettling thought. What if this feeling isn't random? What if it's pointing to something deeper that most people never stop long enough to see? Because many people spend years building a life that looks stable on the outside, but feels disconnected on the inside. They pursue what they were told matters. Security, comfort, approval. They follow the path that seems reasonable, predictable, safe, and for a while it works. It creates structure, it creates order, but over time something begins to surface. Not dramatically, but quietly. A loss of energy, a fading sense of motivation. The things that once felt important start to feel routine, repetitive, almost mechanical. And the more life becomes about maintaining what you've built, the less it feels like something you're truly living. This is where most people misunderstand what's happening. They think the problem is external. They assume they need something new, a new goal, a new environment, a new achievement. But even when those things come, the feeling often returns. Because the issue isn't what you have, it's what your life is built on. If this is resonating with you, I've put together a free, simple guide. It's called the Empty Feeling Reset Guide, and it will walk you through this entire process. The link is in the description below, so make sure you go down and check it out. And by the way, again, it's a free reset guide for you. There's an ancient pattern that shows up again and again. People pursue stability, thinking it will lead to fulfillment. But stability by itself only creates maintenance. It gives you something to preserve, not something to become. And that distinction changes everything. Because there's a difference between existing and living. Existing is about repetition. It's about doing what is required, meeting expectations, managing responsibilities. It's survival with structure. But living? It's different. Living is about movement, growth, contribution. It's about becoming someone, not just sustaining something. Many people reach a point where they realize they've built a life that functions but doesn't feel alive. Now, here's the deeper layer most people don't see. The real question is not, what should I do next? It's not about changing jobs or chasing something new. The deeper question is far more personal. Who am I becoming? Because direction in life does not begin with decisions, it begins with identity. You see, if identity is unclear, every direction feels uncertain. Even the right opportunities can feel empty when they are disconnected from who you truly are. And that's why people can achieve success and still feel unfulfilled. See, because a success without alignment creates tension, not meaning. There's a moment in Scripture where Jesus asks a question that cuts through everything else. He doesn't ask people what they are doing. He asks, "Who do you say that I am?" And within that question is a deeper pattern. Identity always comes before action. And this is something deeply rooted in both biblical and Jewish thought. A person's life is not meant to be built outward first, but inward first. From identity flows purpose. From purpose flows direction. From direction flows fulfillment. But when identity is borrowed from culture, from expectation, from comparison, life begins to feel like something you're managing and not something you're meant to embody. And that's when emptiness appears. Not because your life is broken, but because it's misaligned. Now let's pause for a moment. Because this is where something important shifts. That emptiness you feel, it's not just absence, it's awareness. It's the moment you begin to notice that something deeper is missing, and that awareness is not something to suppress, it's something to pay attention to. Because throughout history, this question has always emerged. Why am I here? What is my life meant to contribute? What actually matters? Which of those have you asked? And when those questions are ignored, life becomes surface level, functional, but shallow. But when those questions are faced, something begins to awaken. And this is where many people get it wrong. They interpret this stage as a crisis, as a confusion, as being lost. But what if it's actually something else? What if this is the beginning of clarity? Stay with me. See, because feeling empty often means something inside you is growing beyond your current life structure. Old motivations no longer satisfy. Old goals no longer inspire. And the things that once felt important begin to lose their grip. Not because they were wrong, but because they were incomplete. And this is the moment where transformation begins. There's a pattern you see in the lives of people who eventually step into meaningful lives. They all pass through a stage where things stop making sense the way they used to. A stage where the external life looks stable, but the internal world begins to question everything. And instead of running from that moment, they lean into it. Because that tension is not there to break you. It's there to redirect you. So instead of asking, how do I get rid of this feeling? A better question begins to form. What is this feeling trying to show me? What actually matters to me beyond expectation? What kind of life would feel meaningful, not just successful? And more importantly, what kind of person am I meant to become? You see, because purpose does not begin with a plan. It begins with alignment. And alignment begins with honesty. There was once a craftsman who spent years building beautiful containers. They were polished, strong, impressive. People admired his work. But one day he realized something unsettling. He had mastered building containers, but had never considered what they were meant to hold. And in that realization, everything changed. Because he understood that the value of something is not just in its structure, but in its purpose. And in the same way, many people spend years building the structure of their life without ever asking what it is meant to carry. And that's what this moment is revealing to you. Not that your life is wrong, but that it is incomplete. And that incompleteness is an invitation. An invitation to move from existing into living. From maintaining into becoming. From external success into internal alignment. And here's the shift that changes everything. You are not empty because your life lacks value. You feel empty because your life is ready for deeper meaning. And that realization is not the end of clarity. It is the beginning of clarity. So don't rush past this moment. Don't silence the questions. Don't distract yourself from the discomfort, because this is the moment where your life begins to turn inward, so it can eventually move forward in a way that is real. And if you stay here long enough, something remarkable begins to happen. You stop asking, "What should I do?" And you start becoming someone who knows. And once that happens, direction is no longer forced. It begins to unfold. And in the next step of this journey, there's something even deeper to understand. Because once you begin to see who you are becoming, you also begin to discover what your life is truly meant to build. Stay with us. Check out the next video. We'll have the link below. I'd sure love to hear from you. Tell me what resonated with you in this video. If you have questions, leave a question down in the comments. If you have suggestions for other topics, or maybe something that you're dealing with that you would like for us to do a video on, leave it down in the comments. Thanks for being with us. This is John with Transform to Live. Glad to hear from you. Glad to be with you. God bless you, and you have a great day.